Hey everyone, this is my Molot VEPR chambered in 308, and today I want to talk about what you have to do to make the Lightning Bow ALG defense trigger work inside of this rifle. If you did not know, it's not going to work straight from the factory. You're going to have to file down the face of the hammer. You might have to file the disconnector, and you might have to file the hook on the trigger. Once you get it done, it's an absolutely amazing trigger. It's by far the best mod I've done to this. It's a vast improvement over the factory trigger. With that being said, I've ordered two in the last 3 months, and they've both fit slightly different, so you may have to adjust what you do, but this video will be a good baseline to what you have to do to make it work. Let's get into it. So let's start with talking about what you have to do to the hammer. On the right you have the factory Molot hammer, in the middle you have the factory ALG hammer, on the left you have the modded ALG hammer that's already been done. So first I want you to notice on the factory ALG hammer you have this little wing that comes out, and you need to take that off with either a Dremel or a file because it's going to catch on a little strut that goes across the receiver, which won't allow it to cock back. Next I want you to look at the factory Molot hammer. You'll notice this little groove that's cut out, and that's for the strut to tuck inside of whenever the hammer goes forward. If you look at the factory ALG hammer, you're going to notice how thick this bridge is, and whenever you put it in like this, there's not going to be enough clearance between that strut and the hammer for the hammer to make contact with the bolt. So you can see on the modded ALG hammer, I've already taken that down with a file. So next what I want you to notice is the angle of this surface right here that contacts the rear of the bolt and also the firing pin. You'll see on the factory ALG trigger that the angle doesn't quite match up. So what you're going to have to do is take that down, that way it strikes evenly and you're not deforming the rear of your bolt. Once I finished forming the face of the hammer, I went over it with some very fine sandpaper and a polishing head on the Dremel, and I definitely recommend that. It really helps smooth up the action on the rifle. Alright, so these last two things you may or may not have to do depending on the trigger that you receive. This I had to do because every time I'd go to fire the rifle, the bolt would lock back in the rear position, and that was because the bolt was catching up on the trigger right here. So what I had to do was take out a little notch. You can see compared to the other ALG trigger that I have not done it to, I had to take that notch out, and now it cycles just fine. But oddly enough, this one works just fine when it's sitting in the rifle, but this one did not. And additionally, you may or may not have to, this is the disconnector right here, you may or may not have to shave a little bit off of this edge to allow for the hammer to go forward whenever you're resetting the trigger. Well, I hope this video has been some sort of help to someone. Have a great day.